So, Ivan, in this episode, I wanted you to talk about how often one should brush their teeth, for proper teeth
Pro-
or tooth care. Yes.
Yes, Emma, thank you so much. I think this is really another very interesting question. How often must someone brush to keep his or her teeth healthy or good? Yes, like we've said, the biggest challenge or enemy to our teeth is basically food because the microorganisms stay in the mouth. What is foreign in the mouth is basically food. And we feel this is the leading cause of much of hygienic problems in the mouth or dental challenges. Like we said, the leading cause of dental caries basically is food we eat, especially the refined foods that we prefer taking these days, and actually much cheaper foods that are available for anybody. Yes, it is good always to brush. The question is, how often must I brush? I think you can as brush as many times as someone eats food. I've not eaten food, I don't need to brush. Per se, as a person, I take a few meals in a day. I take twice in a day, 2 meals in a day to keep going. I don't take more food to grow, but I take food to keep going. So I take my breakfast, I take my late lunch, and these are the times I do the brushing. If someone takes snacks 100 times, then I encourage that person to keep brushing. Why? We must keep the food off the mouth. Why must I brush after eating? This is what happens. When you eat your food and it stays on the mouth or on your teeth, the microorganisms, people call them germs, but basically microorganisms. These are micro organ that stays in the mouth. Sometimes they help us to digest the food we eat. The first digestion stage is in the mouth during the chewing time. So we need some digestion takes purely in the mouth, like cellulose digestion takes place in the mouth. So we need these microorganisms in the mouth. But it only become dangerous when we eat food and stays in the mouth and it gets fermented. That's when we have challenges. Yes, how should I brush? That's also another question. How can I brush? What must I use to brush? Maybe that's another question. Yes, we've known that every eating, every snacking, whether slight, there's this culture where you give a kid a small bite, and then you try it out and you forget this is food. And that's why people always have bigger challenges. How am I supposed to brush anyway? This is what I encourage people. You try to aim brushing after every meal, whether slight or bulky. Make sure you brush your teeth. The question is, how am I supposed to brush my teeth? That's the question maybe I want people to concentrate on. Yes, it's good to have a toothbrush. I don't care which brand, whether it is just these cheap ones, the modified brushes that you buy in supermarkets. You may get a simple stick like in our villages. Those sticks people use because our grannies used to use those sticks to brush. If you can afford, equally have a toothpaste. Okay, not because the toothpaste is a detergent, but it's because it improves on the life of the teeth. Always people ask me, what comes first? Is it the brushing or the toothpaste? That's the other question. No, eat your food, take your snack, get a clean cup of water, maybe, yes. Get a toothbrush of your choice. It may be a local stick or it's a modified one that you always buy already made, plastics and other things. Brush your mouth without a toothpaste. Why? Is because toothpaste are not detergents, People think it is soap. It's not soap. Toothpaste, most of them we use have what is very important, called fluorides. Fluorides helps to remineralize the tooth. Remineralizing means if a tooth is weakening, it brings upon repair. It gets disintegrated and then gets attached to the tooth surfaces and the tooth will become strong again. So we encourage to introduce a toothpaste in the mouth when the mouth is clean enough. So brush off all the food from your surfaces. Make sure you even floss in between the proximal surfaces. Next time I demonstrate how you can brush effectively well. Then make sure you rinse the mouth, take off all the food and rinse it off. Introduce a small toothpaste in the mouth. Make the foam in the mouth for a couple of minutes, maybe 5, 3, 4 minutes. Spit it out and don't rush to rinse it out, because this toothpaste must be absorbed by a tooth surface to make them strong and safe. The question is, how can a younger kid who has got 1, 2 teeth in the mouth be able to brush? You know, ideally a kid must be able to brush around maybe 2, 3 years. 3 years ideally. Next time maybe you need to explain how kids you can introduce brushing to a baby, a smaller kid. But I'm talking about these smaller kids who are a few months born, they have 1 tooth in the mouth, or a couple, few. Really encourage maybe the parents to engage them, to help them out. How? By you can get a smaller cloth, dump it in a warm, salty, warm water. Even plain water, but that salt is really good. Try to swab off the food off the surface. Now, in case you want to introduce some toothpaste into the kid's mouth, you can still put a smaller particle of toothpaste. Then you just smear on those surfaces, just smear a little bit, and try to monitor this child should not swallow, because swallowing may introduce fluorosis for the permanent. Fluorosis is when somebody takes in, especially kids, taking extra fluorides that make their teeth stain. Basically, we need this toothpaste to make our teeth clean. So make sure you brush after every meal, preferably if you can afford a toothpaste, more so fluoridated toothpaste. Use it to make your teeth strong. I don't care even if you've taken a cup of coffee, as long as it has sugars. Make sure you brush off the sugars of your teeth. This will keep your teeth strong and minimize the rate at which your teeth can attract or contract caries. So Emma, that's what I have to say about brushing. Brush after every meal. If you eat 10 times in a day, try to brush after 10 times. That's after every meal. If you have 1 meal in a day, brush after that meal and you're good to go. Okay? Yeah, like me in the morning, usually this is what I do. I brush in the night when I'm going to sleep. And in the morning I don't need to brush, I just get a warm water in the mouth, in the cup. As I'm taking that first warm water in the cup, I just gag and take, because the mouth is clean. There's this common question people always ask me. How do you, usually if you don't brush well, you wake up in the morning and the saliva is really a little bitter, that means your mouth, you didn't brush well. So there was some food that got fermented. Fermented food is a little bitter or sour. Usually there's that kind of experience. But if you brush your mouth well, just gargle in the morning, you can swallow. Actually, nutritionists advise us to gargle and take it. The first swallowing is very important, because it is good for cellulose, for those who ate fibers in the last night. So this is what I encourage. Brush after every meal. Eat once, brush once. Eat twice, brush twice. Eat 10 times, brush 10 times. And this is the trend even for kids. Thank you so much for listening and watching us.
So, Ivan, as we wind up,
Yeah.
still related to the brushing.
Yes.
So you find scenarios where you find people having clearly white teeth and others appear to be, if I may use, yellowish or creamy.
Yellowish,
What explains this as we wind up?
Well, there's a generic trend difference that people have different teeth color, shade. We call them shades. Like in Africa, not everybody is black in Africa. Though we are all blacks, African means black, but they have brown people who are really, actually yes, the Wazungus, they say they are white, but others are actually pink, and others seem to, that's the trend, you get that? So yes, as much as we are black, but we have different, the blackness, the shades vary. Even the teeth, we have almost 18 shades, you know. Those very white, a little yellowish, some other dark and dull. So my concern is not about the teeth color. My concern is the stain color, because there are people who have teeth which are not really white, but their mouth is clean. And there are those who are very white color, but because of the poor brushing habit, their teeth tends to be a little yellowish. So I encourage, in fact, at this point, I encourage people to visit dentists to ascertain the color of their teeth. If there's any superficial coating, to get it off. If your teeth are dull and that's natural, it's okay, as long as they are clean. If they're white and the stain is mimicking the natural color, then you need to work it out. So, Emma, your question is not so broad question. Some stains, some color difference are brought by the foods you eat, by the poor brushing habits, but others are natural. People have different shades. Like, yeah, I'm dark. Some people are a little darker than I. I'm also brown compared to some people, you understand? So that's what happens. Yes.